My father's parents died young. His dad when he was in grade school, and his mother while he was just in high school. This had a tremendous impact on him. It was a huge burden for a young man to carry. And when his mother had passed, the meager inheritance that she had saved up was split up between my dad and his 5 brothers and sisters. And rather than keep their small portions, they gave it all to my dad. And they did that so he could go to college. And he went. And he became a mechanical engineer. And today he works for the same company that he graduated from, or same company that he worked for when he graduated 40 some odd years ago. He's loyal like that. And he's a partner in my brewery. And it was a natural fit for me to have my family connected to that. On my mother's side, my grandfather built a neon sign company. And today, it's in its 3rd generation of leadership in my family. And I look to them constantly as a source of inspiration for what my colleagues and I are doing down the street. Because I realize that starting a business is really just a continuation of a business. And it's this, the business of family. It's an inheritance. And it doesn't matter if that inheritance is monetary, it's knowledge, or if it's an ideology. It's still an inheritance. That's why I don't think it's by chance that I ended up in craft beer. What's going on in craft beer right now is difficult to explain. It's an inheritance. And the people and brewers that came before me paved the way for what we're able to do right now. Beer is in the midst of a permanent revolution. Beer sales on the whole are falling. People drink less beer. And the large companies that built their fortunes on this industry are beginning to panic. But the craft sector, my sector, grows stronger. And we do that because of our inheritance. Our backgrounds are home brewers and passionate drinkers. And now we're seeing people come from other breweries. We don't share those same inherited traits as those of Anheuser-Busch and Miller Coors. We don't have that culture of a cutthroat competition or policy manipulation, legal lobbying, or the shady sales tactics. We act like brothers and sisters. We treat each other as siblings. And in this industry, I'm a baby. I didn't come from a background I have no education in craft beer. I didn't come from a professional background in beer. I never worked in the space. But the inheritance of the brewers that came before me is why I'm able to do what I'm able to do. Large companies right now are trying to work smaller. And small suppliers, like myself at Solemn Oath, are acting bigger. We're operating in high-profile ways, and in ways that being able to take risks that we weren't able to take would have crushed us in the past. This isn't the first time this happened. The 1990s saw craft beer try to make a revolution that was similar to this. And you saw an explosion of breweries open up onto the market, mostly brew pubs, and they failed. And they failed because of inconsistent products. They failed because there was a lack of demand and a general lack of inspiration. But the ones that made it through, the ones that persevered, have made this culture possible for the brewers, this next wave that's come behind them. And we do it with a collaborative approach, a complete rethink to the people that are involved in our organizations, and simple creative differentiation. I never homebrewed. First batch of beer I ever made was the first time we turned our system on. In my experience in this brewery, as I built the company, I dove in. I read everything I could get my hands on. And when I began to reach out is when I had my first experience with the uniqueness of this industry. I started sending out emails and phone calls to breweries all across the country that I respected, sometimes with just a couple of questions, sometimes with much more than that. I heard back from nearly every single one of them. And on top of that, I started getting business plans dropped in my lap. My competitors were giving me their business plans, along with detailed explanations as to what was wrong with them. They didn't realize it at the time, but they were operating much like a tech company in Silicon Valley, with shared ideas, shared resources, and a culture that thrives on the exchanges, the creative sparks of these exchanges that we were having. I need my competitor to have the next best thing. I want that challenge. Because if my competitor can come up with a better business structure, a better product, stronger marketing, or something as simple as an improvement over a simple tool that we use every day, and if they share that resource with our craft community, we're all going to have a better experience because of it. Because the days of having your lager that you have all the time are over. Now you might not have the same beer twice in a year. And this is because we share customers. And the experience that our customers have at other breweries greatly impacts the experience that they have at our brewery. And we do it through education, building each other up, and inspiring one another. Because I bet if you work at a paper company, when you go on vacation, you probably don't seek out some local paper mill. Ask them if you can hang out for half a day to learn about their processes. Share your experiences. But beer is like that. And it's because we share a passion. And that passion is rooted in this. It's rooted in wonder and anxiety. Because we focus on the people that are involved with what we're doing. And that's not just our customers, that's also within. When I started this brewery, we really only needed one person that had any skill or experience within beer. And that was our head brewer. And for him, I sought out somebody that had imagination, creativity, who could make a quality and consistent product and teach others to do the same. We found it in an unlikely place, rock bottom. Even the people in our industry would balk at that because it's a corporate chain. But what I saw was an opportunity. And I saw an opportunity to have a brewer that was capable from production level, but had enough pent-up creativity that was just waiting to get unleashed. And it went beyond that. The people we were looking for had a passion in beer, but there was more to it, and we wanted them to share. What I was able to create or give someone like Tim was freedom and complete creative control, and the opportunity to jump on something early. And when we look for other people, like my brother, Joe, I got him to move here from Carlsbad, California. You guys ever been? Yeah. Right now, I bet it's 72 degrees. Because it's always 72 in Carlsbad. But I knew my brother, from a lifetime experience with him, would take a different approach than the 12 or 13 other people that had walked in, the beer reps that had walked into that bar before. And he would figure out how to connect with that person on his terms. And there was value to that. We have Paul Schneider. Paul is an Ivy League educated school teacher. He can write better than most journalists. We could teach him how to make beer commercially. But Paul's best quality is that he wins every argument, even when he's wrong. And he does that because he's got the debate skills to do it. And what that does for our company is forces us to be stronger and more confident about our decisions, to come up with better processes for something as simple as beer. We've got Aaron, who runs our in-house operation, who came from a background in fashion design, and Matt, a brewer, who's actually a trained woodworker that we taught to make beer. And in the 18 months that our shop has been open, we employ 16 people now, only one of which came from beer. And that's because we're not just trying to build a brewery. We're trying to define the narrative of the legacy that we're going to leave. And we do that through culture and a focus on culture. And we don't just focus on selling beer. We don't think of it like that. We focus it on telling our story and building that culture. Beer is good at this. Someone like Kim Jordan of New Belgium Brewing in Colorado. Kim sold her company to her employees because one of their founding principles was that if you start making decisions that are going to improve your company, you can't stop. It's infectious. And what better way to show that than by empowering her employees and letting them carry out those concepts, see the results of their actions, and get better at making those decisions for their company. Shared ownership can do that to a culture. Shared ownership is how a family operates. We're also attracting new talent, rare talent. People like my friend Michael Kaiser of Good Beer Hunting, whose images you've seen going across the walls here. He left a 6-figure job consulting global corporations on how to improve their products and services to come into beer. And he did it because he wanted to be able to shake the hands of the people he was doing business with. And he does that through a narrative. And he does that better and makes brewers and drinkers and people like myself think about what it is that we're actually doing, because he's not telling a story as a journalist would. He's not writing from the outside in. He's writing from beer. And he helps large corporations find their authentic voice through that. And he helps little breweries differentiate and compete. And he does it because he thinks beer is not just beer. He thinks beer, like many of us, is the next great American cultural export, like jazz in the 1940s. You can create this culture through products themselves. Sam Calagione in Dogfish Head, him and his colleagues in Delaware, create beers with more than 4 ingredients that are designed to challenge their customer base rather than meet their desires. Their business is built on pushing the limits of their favorite or of their biggest fans. And along the way, they pave the road for brewers like myself and others in the craft community to push these limits as well and take more risks with our products, even if it means we fail. This is just part of the ways that we focus on growing our businesses, sure. But we spend a lot of time and effort on the development of our industry. And we do that through collaboration, creativity. We challenge one another. And we're competitive, for sure, but in the right way. And in the coming years, as we fight for tap handle space, we could turn on each other. We could. But instead, we're going to reframe the problem. We're going to focus on the experience and expanding to new venues, even if we have to build those venues ourselves. Because the truth is, beer is older than bread. And it's often credited with turning us from hunter-gatherers into citizens. And craft beer is doing this today. Beer civilizes. Craft beer is civilizing us right now. And we're talking about an industry with a highly skilled labor force, creating a physical, tangible product at the end of it. And as I look to buy steel for tanks, or pour concrete, or create a better and stronger infrastructure to make more and better beer, I realize that the story of my brewery began long ago. It's an inheritance. And the people that are with me on this journey, from my employees, to my family, to my partners and friends, to my son. I think we all need to think about, as we make decisions like what my father's siblings did when they decided to give him that meager inheritance. And are we willing to put in the work to create a generational foundation like the one that exists on my mother's side? Because at the end, we're all building our own boat. But what we're really doing is riding on its wave. Thank you.